Most organ transplants don't extend lives beyond 25 years worldwide. But one center in Singapore is defying those odds. The National University Centre for Organ Transplant, or NUCOT, has celebrated 35 patients who have lived beyond that milestone. So what's behind that success? Joining us to share more are NUCOT's director, Professor Anantharaman Vathsala, and one of her patients, Madam Leong Kwai Sin, who has survived 41 years after her procedure. Professor, thanks for joining us this evening, and Madam Leong as well. You know, the average survival rate is 10 to 20 years worldwide, but your center has broken that record, defying those odds. What is the secret of your success?
I think there are many secrets to the success. The first, I think, are our patients. Our patients in Singapore in general are what we call very compliant. They do follow advice, and it is important that they do follow the advice of doctors and the nurses and the team that's taking care of them to ensure that they take their medications correctly, they come for follow-up regularly, and get vaccinations and all the preventive health checkups that we give them. So that's one important facet. The second important thing is actually, I would say, we do have access to pretty much a lot of the treatment with subsidy from the government. And that really helps, because if you didn't have the subsidy, you wouldn't have the access to medications that prevent rejection. And we also have access, for example, to immunosuppressant drugs and anti-infective agents, like, treatment for infections. We have access to that with subsidy as well. The third, I think our multidisciplinary team in NUCOT invests in taking care of the patient from the beginning of their journey to the end. For example, we take care of them in evaluating their suitability for transplant. Then once they're transplanted, the story doesn't end there. We are their go-to person for pretty much everything. We take care of their underlying kidney disease, the transplant, the medications, if they get diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, and everything, we're the go-to person. So I think that's important for us to make ourselves accessible and available. And this is very important so that the patients have access to healthcare 24/7, 365. And our multidisciplinary team does more than managing the kidney or the liver. So I think this is very, very important.
This milestone, right, of 35 patients surviving beyond 25 years, how significant is that, I think, for the center and for you personally?
Well, for me, it's a miracle. To me, I'm so warmed by this. It has made all the hard work really worth it. I have one correction. We actually have 77 patients who crossed that milestone of hitting more than 25 years. But the thing is, not all of them came to our celebration, and some of them were shy and didn't want to be acknowledged. But that's okay. We respect their privacy. So 35 actually came to our celebration last Friday, and we were very happy. So to us, it's a remarkable milestone, something that is not once in a lifetime, because we hope to continue to see more and more patients reach that milestone.
Madam Leong,
yes,
your transplant and the extra years that you got out of it, what does it mean to you? What did those extra years give you?
Well, after my successful kidney transplant, I felt that it's the beginning of a new life with new hopes and dreams. I have always wanted to start a family, and many people around me do not support that. But with the blessing of Prof. Vathsala, with a continuous support and monitoring me, I gave birth to 2 children.
You were very
boy
young,
and a girl.
Weren't you? You were only 28 when you had
I
your
was
transplant.
about 29, yeah.
Right.
29. And my first baby was born when I was 34. And the boy came later, about 5 years later.
Right.
So I was very blessed with 2 children, and they are now all grown up and very successful in life.
So not one, but two miracles, isn't it?
Yes.
After a transplant, you actually had two kids.
Two
right?
children, yeah.
So over the years, what habits or routine allowed you to maintain your health? Was it also a state of mind?
Well, in my mind, I have a strong mindset. I always believe that I'm normal. I live my life normally. I do not feel that, since I have a transplanted kidney, I'm not like any normal person. So I think that keeps me going. And also be a bit careful with the thing I eat and take my medication on a daily basis.
Like professors say, listen to your doctors. Follow the orders.
And I go to visit my doctor regularly without giving a miss.
What would you say to somebody who's preparing for a transplant now? They would also be, of course, be fearful, and anxious. What would be your one advice to them?
Yeah, my one advice to them is that go for it, right? Life will be better, in fact. Since now the new technology, new medication and everything, it should be successful and live on life as per normal.
All right. Prof, tell us a bit more about the multidisciplinary team at NUCOT and how different specialists work together to achieve these outcomes.
We have two approaches to managing our patients. One is that as the primary transplant physician in charge, we tend to manage not only their transplant, but also their immunosuppressants. But if they have diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, which many of them do, cholesterol issues, we actually manage the bulk of those problems. But when it gets a bit beyond our capabilities, we have a team of specialists that we work with. Not only do we work with our surgeons, our transplant surgeons, we have coordinators to help manage the overall care for our patients. They are there 24/7 for our patients. We have nurses, for example, who are in our transplant center, who teach patients how to monitor their glucose continuously, CGM as we call it. And they even monitor their feet, for example, if they're a diabetic. So a lot of our programs that we do is in-house. But when we need help beyond, we have a special group of surgeons or physicians that we seek expert help from. For example, if somebody's having a baby, we have a specific obstetrician or a gynecologist that we know and are familiar with who are managing high-risk pregnancies. So we'll consult with them. If we have need for an orthopedic surgeon, it'll be a specific one. Cardiologist, it'll be a specific group of them. So we have built a multidisciplinary team of experts who know the complications that are involved that occur in transplant patients. So I think it's that formula that works. That means you do a lot of things yourself, but when you seek help beyond, we know who to reach for. Yes.
All right. Madam Leong, one final question for you.
Right.
Can you share the biggest challenge you had to overcome? And how do you continue to stay positive in this journey?
After 41 years of my kidney being transplanted, I would say that my family's support is very important. And of course, Prof. Vathsala's support too. But without my family support, who are there very close to me, and with their continuous support, I live my life and I have this mindset of I need to live my life as per normal.
All right.
And be happy.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank
Professor
you.
Madam Leong.
Thank you.
That was NUCOT's Director and Transplant Specialist, Professor Anantharaman Vathsala, and her patient, Ms. Madam Leong Kwai Sin.